So this was going to be like a live reaction video at the beginning, and then I got my first grade back before I thought I was going to, and immediately screamed and fell off of my bed. And so that's the end of any dreams of a reaction video happening right there. This is getting filmed in my car because is construction happening out in front of my house right now, and it was a lot of background noise, so here we are instead. Hello, welcome back to my channel. I am Taylor. I am a first-year law student and a certified personal trainer who is taking you all along the journey through law school with me and showing you how I live a healthy, balanced, and productive life in the process. If you want to see more from me and see my videos that come out twice a week, you can hit that subscribe button down below. Also hit the bell icon while you're at it so that you get notified every single time that I post a new video. So as you may have already seen, I filmed a part 1 of this video that I will put in a card above that was immediately after I finished the semester, so it was almost a month ago, and basically just a chatty little reflection video about things that I thought went well, things that I, didn't know about, just kind of a big holistic view. So I wanted to do that when I was like, everything was still super fresh on my mind and I was able to like, give the reflections as someone who had like just finished it. But also I was obviously missing something important when considering, how your first semester went, and that was my grades. And so my grades took a while to come out. I think my grades came out 2 days ago at this point. So they came out 2 days ago. And then yesterday they released like percentiles and ranks for people above a certain percentile. So I was waiting for that because I wanted to be able to, I guess, film a video again, kind of reflecting, but now having some quantitative data to go off of. I'm not liking this. We're gonna move. I hate this. I hate everything about this. Here we go. Yeah, I think we're gonna call this good. So as a disclaimer, I am not going to say my exact grades for a couple of reasons, one of which is that I just don't like talking numbers like that. I was actually like super cagey about my LSAT score for the longest time because of this. It just wasn't a thing that I wanted to talk about, and wasn't a thing that I was telling anybody for the first year or so. I really think the only people who knew what my exact LSAT score was were my parents. Like, I genuinely just like wasn't telling anybody. I was telling people like a score range, but I wasn't telling people. Obviously that's changed. I have a whole video where the title is my score, but at the time it was something that I preferred to keep close to the chest. Same thing's happening here. So maybe at some point I'll get a bit more detailed about grades once I've been in law school for longer. But for right now, we're not gonna do that. Also because of the way that law school is structured, and because you'll know where I go to school, there's just, the way that grades work in law school is that you are literally competing against your classmates, whether you like it or not. Even at a school where it is super collaborative and people are, really helpful and wonderful with each other, the way that grading works is that there is a curve and there's an average grade, and so you have to like, basically students get like kind of like ranked within that curve, and so the majority of people get that like median grade, and then a small number get a higher grade, but the same small number have to get a lower grade as well. So it's a lot of competition, and so for me to kind of go on the internet, I'm not like, so big-headed that I think a ton of people from my law school are watching my videos. I honestly probably doubt that they are, but just because I don't want that like floating around people, like, it's not something I would tell people that are in my class, and so therefore it's not something I'm going to broadcast on the internet either. That being said, I am really happy with how I did. If the beginning of this video where I explained that my first grade, which was my contracts grade, was something that made me scream and fall off of my bed, I think that's kind of an indicator. That was the class that I was the most concerned about, because that exam, in a vlog or somewhere along the way, I pointed out that exam was kind of a mess for me, and I genuinely had no idea how I did. So getting that grade back was like the one that was like, whew, okay, we can handle anything else that comes at us at this point. So got that handled. It was my lowest grade in my doctrinal classes, which I think makes sense. Not by a ton, but because my grades were fairly clustered, I think. But I mean, it still was my lowest. So I think I knew that was going to be that way, and I'm not mad about it. I am not interested in contracts. So I think this makes a lot of sense that that's my lowest. I think kind of a reflection off of that is I don't think it would have made a difference. I've talked about this in a couple of other vlogs. I genuinely don't know what I could have done differently in the studying process to have done better on that exam, because once again, the structure just, my brain just exploded during that exam. So I don't know if there was anything studying wise I could do better in that specific instance, but I do think something I'm going to try to pay more attention to this semester is I feel like contracts very much just got shoved to the bottom of my list all the time because I knew that I hated it, and I was just constantly like not digging into it as deeply as I did into working on the other subjects. And so I think I'm going to make a conscious effort this semester to try to focus more on the class that I know that I don't like, or is not the one that, you know, immediately like I love, which my other two classes I very much like clicked with, and the material like I enjoyed. So I need to pay attention to the other one. I have a feeling it's going to be civil procedure because my other two are criminal law and constitutional law, and I know constitutional law is going to be, I'm going to be all over that. And criminal law I think just seems interesting. I could be completely wrong. I could be revising this on the very first day because I also thought I was going to hate property and then completely changed my mind on it. So who knows, that this could mean nothing as far as my estimations of which class I think I'm gonna have to do the same sort of thing that I needed to have done with contracts. But all of that to be said, I think I would have probably maybe done a little bit better, especially if it were a essay style exam rather than a multiple choice, if I had put as much time into that one as I did into my other two classes. So a big part of the reason that I wanted grades to be able to make a video was so that I could say whether or not my study methods worked or not, and what I was going to change if anything, you know, came back wildly unexpected. And things came back as I expected or better. And so there's not a ton that I'm going to change. I really think the way that I did things this semester worked really well, and so I'm going to try to keep that up. I'm obviously not going to brief cases the same way that I did at the beginning of the semester because I now know how to read cases better, so I'm just going to start with the book briefing method that I did in the second half of the semester, because once I got, you know, the basics down, that method works really well for me. And then also the weekly like review time, I really think that helped me as far as both building an outline towards the end and just kind of understanding the material more broadly when I was reviewing it every week versus waiting until the very end to start reviewing things from the first week again. I think going back every single week and not necessarily reading over everything I've ever done in that class, but going back at the end of every week and summing up what I did that week just kept it a little bit fresher in my mind. It made it a little bit easier when I got to the outlining process of trying to go back and put everything together in this one singular document. But that being said, I am the type of person who no matter how well I did, there's always room for improvement, and that's kind of something that I just always try to embody, is that there's always room for growth, and I always want to be doing the best that I can. And so there are things that I do want to change, one of which is that I think I want to move towards taking more notes in class. I didn't take a ton of notes during class. I had my like case outlines, and then I would write down pretty much anything that showed up on like a PowerPoint slide, but other than that, I really didn't take a lot of notes. And I think that was a little bit of a hindrance in the outlining process, because I had a lot of things that I had to like chase down in a textbook versus having written down for myself in like clear, simple, easy to find notes. So I think that's something that I want to focus on this semester, is actually taking better notes during class and making my outline process a lot easier. That being said, I am very excited that I now feel a little bit more legitimate in, you know, making these videos and telling people how I study and how I do everything that I do, because it worked. And because I have like numerical backing to like show that these methods can in fact get you very good grades in school. And obviously it's not like, this isn't like, what I did isn't going to be a perfect method for every single person out there. It's the same way with the LSAT, and I've said that in disclaimers, that the way that I studied for the LSAT was what worked for me, and that's how I've done law school, is how it worked for me. Also, I've relied a lot on some tips from the book Law School Confidential, which I will link in the description box, because for some reason it just sits on my coffee table and I treat it like a Bible, which is concerning. I obviously still have 5 more semesters left, so this is only the first semester, and I'm not, you know, this isn't the end of it, but my advice worked for 1L fall. So, and that being said though, it is only 1 of 6, so grades aren't everything, and that's coming from someone who does care a lot about them, even though objectively I know that I shouldn't. It's hard not to. It's hard not to internalize that and to put a lot of your self-worth in your grades, because it's an external indicator, and that's, you know, it's something that you can show to people, whereas like the internal, like, I did the best that I could, which is what I try to put my efforts towards. Like, that's what I want as my outcome, is knowing that I did the best that I can and not caring about the numbers. It's harder than you think it is, but they're not everything, especially because, like, it's funny because I'm applying to jobs right now, and I'm applying to a lot of nonprofits because that's the type of work I want to do. I want to do issues related to, you know, civil rights and social justice and public policy, and those places do not care. Like, most of them haven't asked for a transcript. Most of them don't care about my grades, and so it doesn't matter. Like, it's so funny that, like, for all that law school grades get hyped up as like meaning everything, they don't mean everything in every single situation. They definitely mean more if you're trying to go into a law firm. Law firms care a lot about that stuff. I sometimes I wonder if things would be a little bit easier if I was interested in working for a law firm this summer instead of a nonprofit, because right now I have to look qualitatively impressive, and I don't know if I'm qualitatively impressive in the same way that apparently I can have some nice numbers to show. So that's stressful, but that's exactly what it is. Numbers aren't everything, and it's only 1 semester of 6. Like, there is so much left to go. There's so much that, like, I'm really happy with my grades this semester, but I also now have to keep that up. Like, I don't want to get stagnant or get complacent and let anything slip going forward. So that's, I mean, it's not something I have to be really, really conscious of, doing my best going forward as well. And obviously, you know, things change. So just because I'm where I am now doesn't mean that, like, people who didn't do as well aren't gonna have these, like, you know, they're gonna do incredible. Like, people are gonna have like major jumps, because one, we're in a pandemic and things don't necessarily, like, this is hard, and it's also an adjustment period. And so while I may have, you know, gotten lucky and adjusted quickly, there may be some people who are going to catch up to me. So first semester grades don't define anything. Like, they may put you in a good place or in a bad place to begin with, but once again, 1 out of 6. So there's a little perspective. It's grades don't determine everything, even though it's really, really easy to fall into the mindset of believing that they do because of just the way that law school culture is. But I have said this from the beginning, and I will say this again and again and again, because now I also have numbers to back it up. Don't make law school your entire life. Like, it's not fun, and you can still do well while having balance and while doing other things and making time for the other things that make you happy. Do what you need to for school. Try to block off time so that you get your work done and you are on top of things and you're not scrambling at the very end because you didn't learn anything the entire semester. But make time for the things that you care about, because ultimately that's going to matter more than I have no recollection of the times, you know, this semester that I spent sitting at my desk reading. Like, that's not what I'm going to remember from this semester. I'm going to remember, like, you know, socially distanced hangouts with people, and, you know, the student organizations I joined and the people that I met, and all of that stuff is so much more important. And it is possible to do well and not make it your entire life, and to have other interests, and I don't know, be happy-ish. That's weird in law school, because law school is just inherently so anxiety provoking, and I'm sure you've seen in a lot of my vlogs that I am stressed out a lot, but it doesn't have to be the center of everything all the time. And that's, I think, kind of, I'm happy that I have numbers that I can say that it is possible to do well, to end up, you know, performing in the upper parts of your class at a competitive school, and not have law school be the only thing that you can ever do. You can do more, and you should do more, and you should take care of your mental health and keep all of that in balance, because it really, really does pay off. I'm convinced that my gym workouts did so much more for me this semester than sitting in front of a textbook ever would. This is a long video of me just shouting random crap, sitting in a car in a public beach parking lot. I hope that some of it was helpful. I also don't want this video to ever come across as me, I don't know, bragging about things. I try not to make them that way. I know that it's inherently difficult when you're filming videos about LSAT scores and you're filming videos about what schools you got into. Things come across as bragging, whether you want them to or not, and I'm genuinely not trying to do that. There are plenty of other places that if I really wanted to brag, I would go, other than just my little random corner of the internet. But I know that things can come across that way, and so I'm just trying to share my experience, I guess. And so here we are. We're just making objective statements of fact, and going from there. And so that's the end of this video. If you enjoyed it, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you want to leave a comment down below about whatever, let's chat. Put it in the comment box below, and I love responding to y'all, so do that. And I will see you guys soon for another new video. I post vlogs every Saturday. That obviously this one wasn't really a vlog, but they will be vlogs once the semester starts up again, and then more informational type videos every single Wednesday. So make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss those, and I will see you then for another video. Bye.